Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and 5 other Senate Democrats are warning voters that the results of the November election may not be fully known that night. A new 11-page report concluding some state vote totals on election night might not give us a complete picture of who will win after all the votes are counted. There have been efforts to stoke fear and chaos about the election with false allegations of voter fraud. The American people should beware of election misinformation. Joining me now, Democratic Senator and Whip Dick Durbin of Illinois. It's always good to see you, Senator, and I wonder how worried you are about misinformation, voter intimidation, voter suppression. What are your concerns about election night?
I'm very concerned about those who are trying to suppress the vote in America. Every legal voter should be given their chance, and I hope they all turn out. That's a good election in a democracy. But the things we're worried about the most are these efforts at some of the state levels to stop those who want to vote and to make it more difficult for those who do. For instance, there was recently an effort by the Republicans challenging votes that were cast by people who live overseas or work overseas. That includes, of course, our men and women in uniform who want to vote as well. We can't let that happen. We've got to make sure that their right to vote is preserved.
It's not unusual, I don't need to tell you this, for some results not to be known on election night. There are close races. But do you think 2024 could be something larger and something more troubling?
I think it could be, to be very honest with you, because I think there is an effort afoot to complicate the voting experience in America. Remember this, historically in modern times, our vote is very accurate and there's very little dishonesty takes place. And those who argue otherwise have no proof to back up their statement. Let's make sure that only legally eligible people are voting, for sure. Both parties should agree on that. But let's not complicate the process. Men and women make a sacrifice to go in and cast their vote. They want to be part of this future of this democracy. We ought to give them that chance. Let's
talk about your chamber now, Senator, where Republicans, as you know, could take the majority by simply flipping a single seat. Almost every analysis I've seen has the Dems likely losing control. Do you see a path to keeping it?
I do. I think we have good incumbents running for re-election. I know each one of them personally. They are talented, skillful public servants, and I believe they can best articulate the position of the Democratic Party and have good chance of being reelected. In addition to that, we have some new possibilities coming our way. I think of the race in Texas with Colin Allred, a congressman who has made a terrific positive impression. Debbie Murkowski-Paul down in Florida, she is coming on very strong. And even in Nebraska, where we have an independent candidate, Dan Osborne, who is not officially a Democrat, but he is really surprised a lot of people with the early polling.
So give me your best shot. If you were an odds maker, where do you put the odds of Democrats holding the Senate?
I think it's better than 50-50 that we will. I think we've got the resources, we got the quality candidates, we've got 2 or 3 possible pickups in the process. So I feel very good about it.
Senator Dick Durbin, it's good to have you on the show. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.